Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Simply Trade News podcast. This is a holiday segment. Well, I decided to make the episodes a little bit more Christmassy and holiday inspired. I don't know if you're not feeling it, but I'm not feeling the Christmas spirit this much, this year as much. Unless I go home and I see my Christmas tree, that's different. But just around, it doesn't feel like Christmas right now. So I guess we have to sprinkle it in. Anyways, my name is Anik, and I'll be your host today. And I'm here with Lalo.
Hello, everyone.
Nice to have you here. Andy is...
AWOL.
He just did a podcast, but you know how it goes when you have too much going on. And so the news is a little on the back burner for him. Just kidding. But it's fine because we got you covered. Okay, so first off, I want to start with some breaking news, Lalo.
Breaking news. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so this just happened yesterday. By the way, we're recording on the 13th.
Taylor Swift's birthday.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. It is Taylor Swift's birthday, so happy birthday to you today. But this episode will come out on a Monday, obviously. But
I can't believe I actually know that. Thanks,
I know. The 12th of December, there was a posted, I don't even know, because it's not a tweet, a post posted by the president-elect on his social media, Truth Social. And I'm just going to put it into a little snippets for you. So he said, this is basically, he had a meeting with the International Longshoremen Association and its president and executive VP. And he said that there has been a lot of discussion having to do with automation on United States docks. We have actually been covering this for an entire year now. So when we saw this, we're like, oh, wow, this has to come into our episode. He said the amount of money saved by the automation is nowhere near the distress, hurt, and harm it causes for American workers, in this case, our longshoremen. Foreign companies have made a fortune in the U.S. by giving them access to our markets. They shouldn't be looking for every last penny knowing how many families are hurt. They've got record profits, and I'd rather these foreign companies spend it on the great men and women on our docks than machinery, which is expensive and which will constantly have to be replaced. In the end, there's no gain from them. And I hope that they will understand how important an issue this is for me. Blah, blah, blah. He goes to discuss. He says that he studied automation and he knows literally everything about it. Anyone can say that. But let's see. We want to discuss this really briefly just because we've been talking on this for an entire year. And I just want to throw out some statistics. From one of the ports, which is the Long Beach ports in America, which is the second busiest port in America, and also ranked the 9th port with the most activity. And guess what performance index it has?
Performance index.
So performance-wise, it's on ranked 373.
Oh my goodness!
And it's the ranked 9th for most activity, right? Well, we don't know why. I do have to say we talk about automation, that the port only operates for 5 days a week. And the video I was watching is so funny because he's like, imagine you could only fly for 5 days a week. The airport would only be available to you 5 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And other than that, you couldn't be flying anymore. This was coming from Bloomberg, by the way. So other ports are open 7 days a week. So imagine the deficit you're in from not working 2 days or working 24 hours.
Right.
Which would put more jobs out there. Okay. So if we say, okay, let's not do automation, like the president-elect is saying, well, then let's add some hours. That would make sense because then we have more people. But that goes against really the automation again. And I feel like we've been kind of talking pro-automation on this, or we just have our opinions. I mean, anyone can have their opinions. We've kind of been discussing the pros and cons, and it seems that the pros of machinery is kind of outweighing the cons. I mean, at least for me, right? Because machinery is just a way to get better data, to have efficiency, and even though it does take away some jobs, new jobs will be opened.
There's going to have to be someone to operate or maintain the equipment and the automation It just doesn't do it by itself. I mean, there's always technicians and IT people.
Yeah. So those were the breaking news, and we don't know what's going to happen. Of course, we do know that the most efficient ports, which I think the most efficient port is in China, is operated mostly by machinery. Anyways.
Next story.
Next story. So today I have two lists for you. I have the naughty list and I have the nice list. What would you like to hear first?
Were you doing let's go the German version, the St. Nicholas list and the Krampus list. Right?
Well, we just still say it, the naughty. So,
yes,
well, let's just go with the naughty list first, so we can get that out the way. Well, it's not like the naughty list is just what maybe it's not impacting the world right now as we want it to. So the naughty list today is a tariff threats that are upon us that we have talked on, that we don't know if they're happening. But what we do know that's happening is that things are being affected by it. And we've previously talked about it. We don't want to talk about why they're doing it or whatever. We just want to talk about the facts as to what is happening right now. This is stemming from President-elect Trump threatening to impose a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada. And specifically, this news has sent automakers' shares tumbling faster than a snowman in a heat wave. I'm telling you. That was a little Andyism in there. Yeah. So General Motors shares plummeted approximately 8 to 9%, making the biggest drop since 2020. That's a big one. Stellantis saw its stock drop around 5%, and Ford stock declined by 2%. So yeah, we're seeing a little bit of a downgrade here as of now, right? That can change any moment. We know that. But there's a few market analyst perspectives. Do you have anything to share on that?
Well, let's just hope, first of all, that it's just a bunch of just talk to make sure that the U.S. gets what they want. In other words, reduction in illegal immigration and reduction in drugs. Those are the two biggest reasons that they were noted with regards to the tariffs. But assuming they go through, you're right. I mean, some of these researchers and studies have shown that although in theory people say, okay, well, we're not going to be able to produce these items, let's say in Mexico, because of the 25% tariffs. Mm-hmm. So some of that production is now, in theory, and the logic is going to come into the U.S.
Yeah.
Right. But that actually costs a lot more than the 25% tariffs. Why? Because the 25, some of the reasons why some of the jobs or some of the manufacturing, is in other countries like in Canada and Mexico is because like access to resources. I mean, it might be cheaper to get some of the materials, some of the raw materials and components to build something in those countries versus the U.S.
Yeah.
You still need to get them, right, to make them. And maybe they're not available in the U.S., so you still need to import them. And you still need to, meaning the components to make a part. So then that means that now you are still paying the tariffs on those materials.
Yeah.
Right? So, so anyway, so to my point is that, yes, in theory, it may create more jobs, but in theory, it'll also cut down more jobs. And there's a big chain of events here, but anyway, we maybe touch on it here a little bit later or not, but go ahead.
Yeah, and we can just look at the stats. I mean, obviously, again, we don't know what is going to happen, but if we look at the stats to think on what if the tariffs were applied, approximately 2.3 million cars and light trucks were imported from Mexico just this last year. So, I mean, all those cars would at that point be put tariffs on. And then Stellantis and Volkswagen imported about 40% of their vehicles sold in the U.S., while General Motors imports roughly 30% and Ford 25%. So all those cars, they would be hit with the import.
Right.
Yeah. So now we get to the nice list. Woo!
Let's
So,
go to Saint Nick's list now. The good
the
people.
good list, the nice list. Yes. So the nice list is actually nothing negative. Well, obviously,
Well,
it's on the nice list.
It could be negative, but
Huh?
it could be negative. But let's go.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I think it's a promising step. So the AI chip exports to UAE, that's the topic. The US government has approved exporting advanced AI chips to a Microsoft facility in the UAE. And first of all, that is very significant because it strengthens the ties between the US and the UAE. But it also seems like a slap in the face to China, right?
Well, it is because technically, I guess it is because we all know there's already bans and restrictions or export controls of any AI, advanced AI chips going into China or being accessed by any Chinese entity, including individuals.
Mhm.
Okay, so nothing that is Chinese can have access to or obtain these AI chips coming from the U.S. I mean, so that's currently in place. Them opening it up to the UAE, then yeah, they can take that perspective and say, well, wait a minute, why are you allowing export of these advanced chips to another country when you're not allowing it for China? So yes, so technically speaking, that's true.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit more about what it is and how it can benefit the United States. So this is a partnership with, and I'm going to mispronounce this, a partnership between Emirati AI firm G42. So G42 is the element, right?
No, G42 is a company in UAE
That's
that
I see.
develops the technology and software for. In this case, they're developing and building an LLM, which is a large language model that's behind the scenes for
Okay.
AI. So they're developing that for the language for
I saw it, Arabic English large language model.
right.
Yes.
So they're developing that, and of course, Microsoft is a investor in that company. They invested like almost $2 million.
Yeah.
So they are an owner of that company. They're not the majority owner,
okay.
but they do own part of that company. And technically speaking, it's going to a Microsoft facility
That's
in
what.
the
Yeah, that's what I
UAE,
read.
which is of course partially owned also by Microsoft and that
Yeah.
other company.
Okay, I see.
G40.
So they're together on this. So this will be that's why they call it a partnership, right?
Right. So it's going to them, but if you read the rules, you probably have that on how the U.S. government allowed it. There's like very, very strict rules. Like,
Oh,
I
really?
mean, yeah. So, I mean, which is good, right? I mean, meaning that just because it's out of the country doesn't mean that everybody has access to that technology while it's there.
Yeah.
Meaning that Chinese, very specifically, they said Chinese um, persons and or entities are not allowed to access this. Okay, so even though it's in a different country, so there's very strict controls. Obviously, you can't provide access to it remotely either.
Here, yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Individuals from countries under U.S. arms embargo, including China, are prohibited from accessing the chips or the facility. Whoa! So
Right.
if you're, let's say, you're Chinese inheritance, or like
With your Chinese, yeah.
you're not able to get into the facility.
Oh no, you're not getting in.
What
No.
if you work? I mean,
Well, you
is
don't
that a
work.
possibility? If you
Yeah.
work for Microsoft, like you wouldn't be able to get in?
No, not if you're Chinese.
Okay, it also says Microsoft must prevent the chips from being used for AI model training by personal associate associated with the Chinese government organization headquarters in China. So anything really with China.
I mean, don't even mention the C word, I guess. If
Yeah,
you're once
it's
you're
like that must be a very bad word in that facility. The facility will be subject to strict reporting requirements and on-site inspections by U.S. officials to ensure compliance. Whoa, so okay. So let's talk about this. So these people that the US officials, right, to ensure compliance, they have to be trained, correct? I mean, they
well,
need to
they
be
have to
trained.
be. They basically have to go through the same process that.
Is that CB? That's not
No,
CBP,
that's
but
most of our. No, that's the U.S. government. So that's what most of our clients that come to us when they take our export controls class or our EAR or ITAR and all that.
yeah,
That pretty much those folks in that facility need to have that training. They need to. I mean, seriously speaking, even down to the receptionist and the janitor. I
the
mean,
janitor.
well, I
Oh,
mean, what if
yeah,
the janitor, I mean, this is very theoretical, but what if the janitor's out back at the dumpster throwing away hit the trash and he's coming back in the back door and then somebody, say a Chinese individual, says, "Hey, can hold the door for me. Um, I forgot I forgot my badge. I'm coming in, or whatever. Or my badge isn't working, or whatever. Right to
yeah,
come in, and that person lets them in. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's
Like they're not
you
aware.
just need to recognize the fact that says, well, sorry, sir or ma'am. I'm not allowed to do that. You please go through the front door and
Yeah,
ask my receptionist or whatever or my security guard to let you in. You know what I mean? It's just things like that
yeah.
that you need to be aware of and make sure that you don't accidentally or inadvertently um, grant access to someone
I feel like
or
this
something.
this is a good step because we've talked on AI a lot, and to close this out, we've talked on AI a lot more this year than we ever have. And moving forward, we've also kind of discussed that there needs to be more rules, and there needs to be regulations, and there needs to be certain standards and compliance, right? And it seems like they're starting with these new relationships. They're starting to kind of go through that process to have more regulations and have more of the details on what's really happening. Like I guess that's a really good point with the rules that they have and the regulations and the compliance and getting trained. If you do know anyone that needs the training, you can come to us,
Right.
Global Training Center, that is. But I want to close out this part of the episode because we've been going a long time, and even though we could talk to you forever, I do have a little holiday trade trivia for you. So, do you know what the total value? Well, I don't want to ask you that. Okay, wait. The question goes differently, but I don't want to ask you this question per se. Do you think 2023 or 2022 was a better spending year on holidays? Like more consumers spend more money. Like was it 2022 or 2023?
Well, I guess if you follow the media, 2023 was better than 2022 because they said when we were doing the Black Friday,
Yeah.
all the media and research that we found said that it was 2023 was bigger and better than 2022.
Yeah. Well, Lalo watches the news. If you don't, you Lalo knows because he watches the news. But if you don't, then yeah, that is indeed correct. It had a 6% increase than 2022, which I mean, that kind of reflects a strong consumer spending, right? As we've kind of been in a bubble, thinking people can't afford things, which yeah, I understand. Like there's definitely lots of talk on that. But people are spending and they feel like they can spend. So that's a good thing. Yeah. And we're going to close it out with this little trivia. We thank you so much for listening. Also, if we have any freight forwarders listening, I don't know if you guys, well, I'm sure if you're a freight forwarder, you have heard of the FIATA diploma, which you can get through some courses and certifications. You have to go through like 3 steps. Now, Global Training Center is also selling those courses. So if you're a freight forwarder and you want to, dive deeper into your job and, gain more knowledge or really get certified and get the diploma to skyrocket your career, really, then you can come to us. You can call us. You can check on our website. And yeah, we would love to help you with that. So
more importantly, we do need to say this. FIATA is an international organization, and they
recognized by 150 countries,
right,
by the way.
And they are very strict and very they control this very well. And so we do need to emphasize that we ourselves are not the ones that are doing the FIATA. This is in partnership with NCBFAA Educational Institute, otherwise known as NEI.
Very excited about it. So head to our globaltrainingcenter.com and you can. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you back next week. I'm wishing you a great maybe it's not holidays yet, but anyways, it feels like the holidays. Yeah. So just go with it. Yeah, bye.
Bye, everyone.